Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. You know, we talk a lot at TPMtv about the Bush administration, the rule of law, following the Constitution, not following the Constitution. This morning we're going to go talk to Congressman Jerrold Nadler. He's one of the congressmen from Lower Manhattan. He's actually our congressman at TPM. The reason we're talking to him is he's about to start a series of hearings about the Bush administration, the Constitution, and the rule of law. Things like habeas corpus, warrantless wiretapping, stuff like that. So we're really interested. We're going to ask him about that very notorious now hearing a few weeks back with James Comey, where he talked about that late night visit to the hospital bed of John Ashcroft. And in general, what can Congress do to provide some accountability, to provide some kind of break on the president when it comes to not following the law and violating the Constitution?
Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. We are here this morning with Congressman Jerrold Nadler of the 8th District of New York, which covers Lower Manhattan and parts of Brooklyn.
And the West Side.
And the West Side. You are starting a series of hearings later this week about the Constitution, civil liberties, and particularly the Bush administration's abuse of each of these. What are these hearings going to be about?
Well, there are about a number of things. On this week, we'll be having a hearing on the NSA and the warrantless wiretapping, the abuse of the FISA court, and so forth. We will be having also, the rest of the month, we'll be having hearings on rendition. We'll be having hearings on habeas corpus and the Military Commissions Act.
A lot of our viewers know there was this testimony a few weeks ago by James Comey, the former Deputy Attorney General. This is the thing about this nighttime visit to Attorney General Ashcroft's hospital bed, et cetera. Now, substantively, what that seemed to bring up is there was a lot more disagreement within the Justice Department than we realized about this program. Has that really added more
to...
Well,
it brought up two things.
Okay.
Number one, what you just said, that there was more disagreement than we realized. Three things, really. And number two, that they apparently went ahead with an unauthorized program even after they got, for a while, after they got the advice of the Justice Department that it was illegal.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like to know what that was.
Right.
Third, that apparently, I mean, remember the New York Times revealed that they were wiretapping people who in the United States who they believed might be in contact with a foreign agent abroad without getting wiretaps as required by the law. Now, apparently, the Justice Department deemed that okay, but apparently they were doing something else, which the Justice Department deemed not okay, which they continued doing after the Justice Department said it wasn't okay, and only when Comey and others threatened to resign did they allegedly stop doing this or modify. I'd like to know what that was. Now, of course, they have testified that Comey said it was classified. He wouldn't say. We're going to ask him. We may have to go into executive session because we can't legislate. Congress can't legislate if they hide it from us. The president admits that he granted 45 different occasions, granted authorization for wiretapping without a FISA court warrant, what I call warrantless wiretapping, outside the law. This is a felony. This is punishable by 5 years in jail. The president, the attorney general, and anybody else would, there's a prima facie case that they engaged in a criminal conspiracy. And in effect, what they're saying is that they have the right to classify and thus hold themselves harmless from a criminal conspiracy. From my point of view, if the executive branch is contemptuous of the power of Congress and is going to go above the law and ignore the law, you have to use whatever weapon the Constitution gives Congress.
We've been following very closely this U.S. attorney firing story going back a few months now. And in the course of that, what's sort of a sub part of that story is the purging of Civil Rights Division, Voting Rights Division. You've had all these career people who've left, kind of pushed out. You're going to look at how the Attorney General has run those divisions of the Justice Department. What are you going to be looking at?
Well, we've already had one oversight hearing on that. We'll have more. This is not really part of it's a separate issue, but it's the politicization and the ideologicalization, if you will, of the Justice Department. You had a situation where they were disregarding, humiliating, and in effect expelling the professionals, the career people of the Justice Department, having the political people overrule them for political reasons, not justice reasons, and now we know through Monica Goodling that the career people were being replaced on a political basis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even though the law said they're supposed to be non-political.
How do these accusations of voter fraud, attempts to push prosecutions of voter fraud, what's the tie-in between that and voting rights around the country?
Well, the tie-in is that by all objective measurements, there's been very little voter fraud. The Justice Department has gone all out to try to find it, and they have found very, very little of it. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but almost none of the type they're talking about of voter fraud, where one person votes for another, a person votes who's not supposed to vote, etc. But what they've been doing is using the excuse, and the Republican Party has been doing this. This all came out of Karl Rove's shop. The Republican Party has been using the excuse of allegedly rampant voter fraud to push procedures and laws in various states and in Congress to require more and more restrictive identifications and other things, allegedly to prevent voting fraud, but really it has the effect of voter suppression. Now, you're the U.S. Attorney. Now, these U.S. attorneys are all Republicans. They're all appointed by the President. They had no motive to ignore legitimate voting fraud. And a number of them, we know, started looking into the allegations of voter fraud because some Republican Party official would say, hey, there's voting fraud in this place or that place, and they'd look into it, and they'd find nothing there, and they said so. And then they got fired.
Right, right.
So they were fired in effect for not pursuing cases against innocent people, which is a subversion of justice.
Is there one issue that really hasn't gotten a lot of press attention that it should, that you're going to be looking at?
Well, I think the one attention that hasn't gotten enough, the one issue that hasn't gotten enough attention is the overwhelming obviousness of the fact that this entire warrantless wiretapping is illegal, and the President and the Attorney General are engaged in a criminal conspiracy. I mean, to me, this is worse than Watergate. I mean, I don't understand why. I mean, yes, it got in the press a little. This is illegal. No, it's not, because we have this power. Well, the Supreme Court said you don't have that power. There is no shadow of a claim at this point. And it's incredible.
And this is even separate from, I mean, James Comey, as acting Attorney General, comes in and says, well, you need to kind of bring it back. But you're saying even at that level,
yes,
it's still illegal.
That's right.
Even what he approved.
That's right. Clearly.
Got it, got it. Thank you very much for your time.
You're quite welcome.
I appreciate it.